Hey everyone, welcome to the second comparison between the books and the PBS series. It's possibly the other ones. Now, this one I want to talk about a character that was only introduced in the big chapter book series, but has been referenced every now and then. That character, as we open this up, is none other than Bonnie Brown of the Berenstain Bears. Now, quite honestly, Bonnie Brown was Now, the reason she was introduced, as I mentioned before, was to be sort of like a best friend, if not a love interest of Brother Bear. Berenstain Bear fans, you might be saying, well, didn't Brother have a love interest in Honey Bear? Well, yeah, he did in the original '85 series, and even in the special, the Cupid Valentine special or something like that. But yes, he did. But to kind of update it a little bit and make it more modern, Mike Berenstain, along with his folks, decided if we're going to do a book for older readers, we need a character that can be aimed at older readers. And thus Bonnie was born. Bonnie is portrayed as a part-time model and actress. So in other words, when it comes to some of these big chapter book stories, she's in most of them, but there are some that she's not. And the excuse as to the reason why she's not in some of them is because she's out doing her part-time modeling and acting. But when she's not, her character lives with her uncle and aunt, Squire and Lady Grizzly. Now, what's the major difference between her in the books and in the PBS series and in the first-time books? Well, it's real simple. In the PBS series, the only Bonnie character that we know of that's introduced is in the New Neighbors adaptation from the first book, the adaptation of the New Neighbors. That's the only Bonnie we know of that's introduced. But she's totally different from this one. Another situation is that she's also referenced in the first-time book series, most importantly, Funny Valentine. But overall, the biggest difference in comparison to both the big chapter book series and PBS and the first-time book series is the fact that she only appears most time as a major character in the big chapter book series. That's the biggest difference. Yes, her name is used in other areas. Like I said, her name was used in the New Neighbors adaptation on the PBS series. Her name was she was referenced in the first-time book series. The truth is, though, the biggest comparison in difference between all those three is the fact that she's a major player only in this series of books. That's it. Now, I know a lot of people that have probably read these books like I have hope to someday see her in animated form if that ever happens. Well, you can never say never around here because it just might. But right now, this is where you'll find her, only in here. And that is the major difference between the big chapter book series and the PBS and the first-time book series. As I said, in the PBS series, there's a character named Bonnie, but it's not the Bonnie we know, or portrayed in this book, and she's also only referenced in the first-time book series. And really, that's all I could say. I mean, besides the fact, like I mentioned, she was brought in because this was a book aimed at older readers, and overall, that's probably the biggest difference in comparing this to the PBS and the first-time book series. The fact that this is the only place you find it. Up next, we're going to compare certain stories.